There are many different types of ties. They consist of neckties, bow ties, skinny ties, bolo ties, puff ties, string ties, ascot ties, cravat ties, crossover ties, and a Kentucky bow tie. The two we will be showing you how to tie today are the necktie and the bow tie, but here's just a brief history of the ties.
If a tie is defined as a clothing accessory that is worn around the neck, then the history dates back to the early days of weaving and spinning. Today, ties are used for decorative purposes alone rather than functional than its earlier roots from the 17th century in France. During the Prussian Wars, Croatian mercenaries came to assist King Louis XIII. They used a piece of cloth to tie the tops of their uniforms. To honor the Croatians, he gave it the name La Cravate in French, which is still used today. Several types of decorative pieces of men's neckwear originated during the 19th century, such as the bow tie and the ascot. The modern necktie derived from the ascot and became popular around the 1920s. The width of ties has changed over the decades, depending on current fashion trends, but ties are still worn the same way. The ascot looks extremely similar to the modern necktie. It looks like a cross between a scarf and a modern necktie, but unlike a modern necktie, both ends of the tie have the same width. It is also tied much looser and the knot is secured by a decorative pin. Now I will be telling you about the full Windsor knot. It was named after the Duke of Windsor. It is one of the most popular knots out there. It is a pretty tricky knot to tie. It is mostly tied incorrectly. This knot is very big and wide and makes the tie a lot smaller when tied. It makes a symmetrical knot, but is bulky and often undesired. Now I will show you how to tie this knot. Now I will show you the full Windsor knot. Start with the wide end on your right. Lower the wide end about a foot below the narrow end like this. Okay. Then cross the wide end over the narrow end to the left. Bring the wide end behind and up through the loop like this, and then pull to the left again. Bring the wide end behind the narrow end and up through the loop and down the back. Down the back. Make a bridge from left to right. Bring the wide end through the back and down the front of this knot. Like this. Then tighten it, pinching the edges and pulling the wide end while your thumb is under like this. To draw to your collar, pull the narrow end, draw to your collar, put your collar down, make any more adjustments you might make to your satisfaction, and then you have the full Windsor knot.
The first knot I'll be telling you about is the 4-in-hand knot. This is a good knot for beginners. It's one of the oldest and most commonly used knots. It is easier to use but produces an asymmetrical knot. It is larger than the half Windsor knot but smaller than the full Windsor. It was invented by British horsemen at the end of the 19th century. The name comes from the horsemen tying their ties with just one hand. It is slightly smaller and larger than normal. Now I'll show you how to tie the knot. Alright, so the 4-in-hand knot. The first thing you want to do is get the length right. Some ties will be different because some will be longer and some will be shorter. So the length, you want it to be the thinner end half of the thicker end. First thing you want to do is put the thinner end under the thicker end and make kind of an X. Then you'll take the thicker end and wrap it around back to this side. It starts to make the knot right here. Then you'll take the thicker end and go under, up, and then it forms the knot right here. And you'll put the thicker end through the knot. Then you'll tighten it by pulling the shorter end. There you go.
Now I will be telling you about the half Windsor knot. It is a smaller version of the Windsor knot. It is used more often than the full Windsor because it is better for narrow neck lines and smaller ties. It is just like the four-in-hand knot, which is a smaller knot, but it's a little thicker and wider. Now I will show you how to tie this knot. Now I will show you the half Windsor knot. Start with the wide end on your right, like this, and lower the wide end about a foot below the narrow end. You see right here, about a foot. Then put the wide end over the narrow end, like this, making a X. Then bring it under and around the narrow end. Then bring it up and down the loop. Then pull it to the left. Next, bring the wide end over the knot from left to right, making a bridge with your hands between the wide end and the knot you have right here. So it forms like this. And you bring it up through the loop again. And then you take the wide end and put it through this loop, the bridge that you just made with your hand. And then tighten it. And make adjustments with both hands. Keep your thumb under, right under the knot right here, while you're pulling the wide end to make the knot tighter. I just find it helps to keep the knot in formation. Then pull it, pull the narrow end to make the knot draw to your collar, like this. And make it. Then pull your collar down. Make any more adjustments you might want to make. And then you have the half Windsor knot.
Today people wear neckties for more formal or serious events such as work, dinners, banquets, and funerals. It is more of a business attire. A bow tie display is more of a whimsical and less serious fashion statement. These statements are not often appreciated in business. You might wear a bow tie to a prom, dance, or if you were a clown. Bow ties can be worn even in a formal-like event such as a graduation and wedding. Now I'll be telling you about the bow tie. The bow tie is kind of harder to tie than a normal tie. It may be tricky for some people who have not had the chance to tie a normal tie yet. The bow tie isn't as formal as a necktie. Now I will be showing you how to tie the bow tie. Okay, so how to tie a bow tie. First you want to loop one end, make a cross, and then you want the bow, one of the bows, to be like right at the first button. Then you'll loop the longer one under and up, tie a knot, kind of. Then you'll make the first bow. Now you'll put the longer one over the middle of that bow, and you'll grab these two ends, and it's formed a hole right here. You'll put this end, you'll stick it through the hole, you'll bring it out on the other side, and then you gotta straighten everything up. You tighten it by pulling both of the double ends.